The title of this video is not an accident, because it takes from 5 to 15 minutes to reach a full flow state and stop feeling the passing time. This is a full scientific guide based on over 11 scientific researches to reach a flow state. So make sure you watch a full video, listen carefully, even do some notes, because it is going to be very helpful for you. First step, your brain works in cycles, so make sure that you fit your work schedule with your cycles. Look at our sleep. For example, when we sleep for 3 hours, 6 hours, 7.5, we feel much better than if we would sleep straight 8 hours, which is technically recommended. Why it is like that? Because our brain has its natural cycle of work. So when most of people know about cycles of sleep, the same is with your work. One natural cycle of our brain takes from 90 to 120 minutes for more advanced people. So you should schedule your work that you work exactly this amount of time. Because otherwise, if you, for example, work longer, your neurotransmitter will start to decrease to a levels that your studying just won't be effective and you won't make any progress. So make sure that after 90 minutes you do some break. Second step is to have an extremely detailed, clean plan. There is a research on something which is called ego depletion, and it is the fact that our brain just gets tired, physically tired, when we have to make too many decisions, because you can focus on one thing at a time. And when you try to jump with your focus from one thing to another and constantly make new decisions, it is very tiring for your brain, because this organ takes 20% of all energy which your body needs, even though it's just few percent of its weight. So look how big it is, this disproportion. So any extra decision is such an energy waste for your brain that it just doesn't want to make it at all costs. So what you need to do, it is to have extremely clean schedule. You cannot make your to-do list like, I will study chemistry tomorrow. That's a nonsense. When you will have to study tomorrow, you will need to make few more decisions, which will be very tiring for your brain, and probably you won't be able to reach a flow state like that. But when you plan, tomorrow at 6 p.m. I sit and do 10 exercises from a book XYZ from chemistry, which should take me 90 minutes, it is much clearer. And you should actually put such a long sentence in your to-do list to a little bit relieve your brain from this constant decision making. First step, it is to do one task at the time. And here I mean that you not only should not, for example, scroll social media and listen to some audiobook, which you probably guess is a total disaster for your brain, but I also mean that according to scientific researches, you can lose even 40% of your productivity by just, for example, messaging back to your friend, what can take you maybe 10 seconds, but can destroy your flow state, and you will need another 5 to 15 minutes to reach a level of focus which you had before. So even something like reading a message on your phone can destroy your flow state and reduce your productivity by even 40%. The next step is to use boundary objects. There was this study where divers had to learn something under the water, and the problem was that on the dry surface they couldn't remember too much of that, but when they back again under the water, they could remember several dozen% more information on this test exam. So the environment around you make a huge difference in remembering new information, because it creates new boundaries in your brain with an environment around you. So how you can use it in practice? Of course, you won't learn under the water, but what you can do is to, for example, use the same clothes as you will be wearing on the exam, or always use the same type of sound when you will learn something. So for example, if you listen to a sea sounds when you study, you should also next time when you will be studying again, use the same sea sounds, use the same lighting, and have the same objects on your desk, because this kind of things create new boundaries in your brain, which can make your brain connect more and remember more. The next step is to set a timer, but not a timer on your phone, which we will describe later, but a normal, most easy timer, which you can find. If you don't have that, come on, buy it now online for a few dollars. Yeah, you can do it. You can take this 2 minutes to buy a normal clock. And why this? Of course, it's Parkinson law. Our brain is such a stupid pile of protein that it tries to elongate tasks as long as they can only take and as long as much time we have on this concrete task. So if you plan to learn something in 3 hours, it will take you 3 hours. But if you set a time that you will learn this in 1 hour, your brain will be just, okay, I will do this in 1 hour. There are multiple different studies that confirm the idea that Parkinson law is real, and our brain elongates everything from thinking to analyzing data to memorizing process just to fulfill all needed time for this task. The next step is no disperses. Narrow your attention like a laser, one thing at one time. No any disperses. No phone on your desk, because it's scientifically proven that it can lower your attention and lower your focus. Also, no mess in your room, no mess on your desk, because it's also scientifically proven that it can lower your focus and you will be thinking about things like cleaning or doing the next chores. Obviously, you don't need that. If you live in a noisy area, use some headphones with something which is giving you nature noises, which works pretty the same as silence, like for example sea sounds or wind sounds. Just do everything to be fully present and fully focused. The next step is to reward yourself. Nowadays, in this old David Goggins kind of vibe, everyone talks discipline, it needs to be hard. No, your brain doesn't work like this. If something doesn't give you any fun, any pleasure, you will quit, and no any motivation, discipline video won't help you at all. So after you complete your block of studying, your 90-minute cycle, you should do something which will give your brain kind of sense and a dopamine boost, which will be correlated then in your brain with something positive, because then a studying process will be correlated in your brain with something which is positive for you and give you good emotions. And over time, it will make you much more keen to study. Of course, don't reward yourself with something which will completely boost your dopamine into space. But if you had a to-do list, you can just cross out your made task, which will make your brain think it's a win. And also, that's a reason why you should schedule your tasks to much more smaller things to do, that you can cross out more tasks and get more dopamine from completing new mission in your life. Then you can listen some music, go some walk, do something which will give you a little bit of pleasure, but won't burn your dopamine. The next step is to maintain moderate stress. What means moderate stress? Look, when we stress too much, of course our productivity is not well. But the other problem is to not be stressed at all, because then you don't have any motivation and your studying process becomes so ineffective that you want to sleep, you cannot focus. So what you need to do is to keep your stress in the middle. If you are stressed too much, what can help you is ashwagandha, breathing techniques, meditation. But if you are not stressed enough, you should do something to stress your body out, like splashing a cold water into your face, even changing a position for more open might help you. Or other uncomfortable things like doing a push-ups until a muscle failure can be very helpful for you. And there's also one more reason. Actually, when you do exercise until a muscle failure, there is created lactic acid, which then goes to your brain and is used by one of the fuel which your brain needs. And the interesting fact about this fuel is that it inhibits tire and make you more concentrated on the current task. So that's why you should exercise before. The next step is care about basic things. If you didn't sleep 7.5 hours, reaching a flow state might be a really almost impossible task for you. To reach this state, you need to be fully present, not sleepy, not hungry, not extremely tired, and only then you are able to have this. And the last step is a 5-minute method, because it can really help you in a days when you really don't want to do anything. It is that you have 5 minutes, something which is correlated with a flow state. So try to reach a deep focus for 5 minutes. You can meditate, you can stir at the same point for example, 60 seconds, and then you can decide that you want to continue your work or you don't want to continue your work. First thing, it will put your brain into this focus, concentration state, and also scientific researchers show that even 70% of people who try to 5 minutes method, like do something which is correlated with your work for 5 minutes, then continue their work even when they are highly not motivated to do so. So keep this method in your mind. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, comment and like, because you don't know how much it helps me. See you.